I stood in the grand ballroom of the Belmont Hotel, watching my mother's perfectly manicured hand wave dismissively as she laughed. "Oh, Bethany? She's our cautionary tale. Some daughters learn to soar, others—" She didn't finish the sentence, but her companion's knowing chuckle said enough. "My name is Bethany, and I'm the cautionary tale who just bought this hotel. 5 years ago, I would have shrunk away from that laugh, found a corner to hide in, maybe even cried. Now, I simply adjusted my Cartier watch and continued reviewing the gala setup with our event coordinator. The crystal chandeliers caught my reflection. Tailored black dress, elegant updo, red-soled heels that cost more than my old monthly rent. Success is the best revenge, they say. But I prefer it served with a side of karma. Mrs. Foster, where would you like the donor recognition wall?" The coordinator's voice pulled me back to the present. "Center stage, please. I want everyone to see exactly who's supporting tonight's cause." I smiled, knowing my family's names wouldn't be among the platinum donors. They could barely afford the basic admission tickets. "Bethany? Is that really you?" A familiar voice made my spine stiffen. Jesse, my ex-fiancé, current brother-in-law, and the first domino in my family's betrayal. I turned slowly, embodying every ounce of poise Lucian's corporate training had instilled in me. "Jesse, how nice of you to come support children's education." My voice was honey-coated ice. He looked exactly as I remembered, just slightly softer around the middle, his golden boy charm starting to tarnish at the edges. "You look different. Amazing, actually. I heard you'd left town, but—" "Jesse, there you are!" My sister Layla's voice cut through our conversation like a knife through butter. She sashayed over, still stunning in that effortless way that had made her the upgrade in our family's eyes. Her steps faltered when she saw me, recognition dawning slowly. "Hello, sister." I smiled, watching color drain from her face. "Lovely to see you both supporting such an important cause, though I'm surprised you could afford the tickets, given the recent difficulties with Dad's company." Layla's perfectly glossed lips parted in shock. You're running this?" "Oh, much more than that." I gestured to Zoe, my PR director, who was approaching with purpose. "Zoe, please ensure Mr. and Mrs. Knight have proper seating. Not at the main table, of course. Perhaps near the kitchen." "You can't—" Layla started, but I was already walking away, heels clicking against marble floors. I caught snippets of their heated whispers behind me. "Did you know she'd be here? Why didn't anyone tell us? She looks so expensive." The next hour was a blur of final preparations and greeting early arrivals. I watched my parents enter, my father's confident stride betraying no hint of his company's precarious position. Mother's eyes swept the room like a queen surveying her kingdom until they landed on me. The recognition was immediate, followed by calculation. "Bethany, darling," she air-kissed in my direction, as if the last 5 years hadn't happened, as if she hadn't helped destroy my life. "We had no idea you were involved with this lovely event. You should have told us." "Should I have?" I raised an eyebrow. "Like you told me about Jesse and Layla?" Her smile faltered for a microsecond. "Ancient history, darling. We all move on, don't we? And clearly you've done well for yourself. Though I must ask, who are you working for? This event must have such an impressive budget." Before I could answer, the room's energy shifted. Heads turned, conversations hushed, and my mother's eyes widened as Lucian Foster, my husband, CEO of Octagon Enterprises, and the man about to destroy my father's company, walked through the doors. "Actually, Mother," I said softly, watching her face as Lucian made his way toward us. "I'm not working for anyone. I'm chairing this event. And I believe you know my husband." The color drained from her face as Lucian's arm slipped around my waist, his kiss landing softly on my cheek. Everything ready, love? He asked, loud enough for nearby guests to hear. I smiled, feeling the weight of every eye in the room. Perfect timing, darling. Mother was just asking about our involvement with the charity. My mother stood frozen, processing the implications. Across the room, I saw Layla grab Jesse's arm, whispering urgently. My father had stopped mid-conversation with a potential investor, his face ashen. "Shall we begin?" I asked Lucian, but my eyes were on my family. The cautionary tale was about to become a nightmare, and I couldn't wait for the show to start. The memory hit me like a slap as I watched Jesse fidget with his bow tie across the room. 5 years ago, I'd found them in our apartment, the one Jesse and I had picked for our future. Layla's perfume had lingered in the air, her earring glinting on our bedside table. When I confronted him, he'd just shrugged. "Your sister understands me better," he'd said. "She gets where I want to go in life." "Mrs. Foster?" Hassan's voice pulled me back to the present. "The financial reports you requested." He handed me a sleek folder, his expression grim. "It's worse than we thought. Your father's company has been cooking the books for years." I smiled, tucking the folder into my clutch. Perfect timing. Zoe appeared at my elbow, champagne in hand. "Girl, your sister's been trying to get Lucian's attention for the past 20 minutes. She has no idea he's your husband, does she?" "No." I sipped my water, watching Layla laugh too loudly at something Lucian said. "And neither does anyone else, except you and Hassan. Let's keep it that way until the announcement." "Bethany." Jesse's voice behind me made my shoulders tense. "Can we talk? Privately?" I turned, finding him closer than I expected. His cologne was different now, probably Layla's choice. "I'm quite busy, Jesse. The gala..." "Please." His voice cracked slightly. 5 minutes. Zoe shot me a warning look, but I nodded. 3 minutes. The terrace. Outside, the evening air was sharp with approaching winter. Jesse leaned against the railing, looking older than his 34 years. "Layla isn't..." He stopped, started again. "Things aren't what I thought they'd be." "Fascinating." I checked my watch. 2 minutes left. "I made a mistake, okay?" He reached for my arm, but I stepped back. "Your parents, they kept pushing us together. Said you were too bookish, too quiet. That Layla could help my career. I was weak. I know that now." I laughed, the sound brittle in the cold air. "Weak? You were my fiancé. We were planning our wedding, and you slept with my sister in our bed." "I know, 1 minute, Jesse. Make it count." He ran a hand through his hair, frustration evident. "Look at you now. You're magnificent, powerful, everything I thought I wanted Layla to be. If I had known..." "Time's up." I turned to leave, but his next words stopped me cold. "Your father's company is failing, isn't it? I've seen the numbers. We need help, Bethany. For old time's sake." The slap echoed across the terrace. My palm stung, but my voice remained steady. "Don't you dare. You don't get to destroy my life and then ask for favors." "Everything okay out here?" Lucian's voice carried authority without effort. He stood in the doorway, his presence filling the space. Jesse straightened, professional mask sliding back into place. "Mr. Foster, sir. I was just catching up with an old friend." "I see." Lucian's tone could have frozen hell. "And did you find what you were looking for?" Before Jesse could respond, Layla's voice carried from inside. "Jesse, where are you? Daddy needs to talk to you about something." I watched him retreat, shoulders slumped. Lucian moved beside me, his hand finding the small of my back. "You okay?" "Perfect." I leaned into him slightly. "How's my sister's flirting going?" He chuckled. "Terribly obvious. Your mother's been dropping hints about Layla's charity work and how she'd be perfect for corporate events." "Charity work?" I snorted. She once complained that volunteering at a food bank would ruin her manicure. Inside, the gala was in full swing. Hassan caught my eye, tapping his watch. Almost time for the announcements. Beth, Zoe hurried over. You need to see this. Your father's trying to corner Senator Williams about the infrastructure contract. I watched my father gesturing animatedly to the senator, desperation barely hidden behind his confident smile. Mother hovered nearby, ready to smooth any social wrinkles. Let him. I straightened my spine. In 20 minutes, none of it will matter. Bethany. Lucian's voice was soft. Are you sure about this? Once we announce the audit findings? They called me the cautionary tale, remember? I met his eyes. Let's show them what happens when the tale fights back. The orchestra began their final piece before the speeches. Across the room, my family gathered like vultures. Father with the senator, mother directing Layla to stand prominently near the stage, Jesse looking like he wanted to be anywhere else. Places, everyone! Zoe called out. Mr. Foster's announcement is in 10 minutes. I caught my reflection in a window, poised, powerful, nothing like the broken girl who'd fled town in tears 5 years ago. That girl died in a bookstore parking lot, sleeping in her car, and planning her resurrection. Tonight, she would rise from those ashes, and her family would burn instead. Mr. Foster, Layla's voice dripped honey as she touched Lucian's arm. You simply must tell me more about your work with children's education. I've always had such a passion for helping the less fortunate. I watched from across the room, sipping water from a crystal flute. The scene was painfully familiar. Layla, the predator, moving in on her prey. Only this time, she had no idea she was the one being hunted. You know what they say. My mother's voice from 5 years ago echoed in my head. When you upgrade to a better model, you have to discard the prototype. She'd said it at our family dinner, right after announcing Layla and Jesse's engagement. Everyone had laughed. Everyone except me. Mrs. Foster? Hassan appeared at my elbow. The video presentation is ready. Perfect. I watched Layla lean closer to Lucian, her dress cut just low enough to be suggestive. And the audio? Crystal clear. Your sister's conversation with you earlier will play beautifully through the ballroom speakers. Mother materialized beside Layla, champagne in hand. Mr. Foster, I hope my younger daughter isn't bothering you. She's just so passionate about networking with influential people. Lucian's polite smile never wavered. Not at all. She was just telling me about her charitable work. Oh yes, Mother beamed. Layla has such a giving heart. Unlike some people who shall remain nameless, she understands the importance of maintaining proper social connections. I moved closer, timing my approach perfectly. In fact, Mother continued, Layla would be perfect for your company's social initiatives. She has such natural grace, don't you think? Unlike me? I stepped into their circle. Hello, Mother. Still playing matchmaker. The colour drained from both their faces. Layla's hand dropped from Lucian's arm as if burned. I was just, Layla started, trying to secure this one too? I finished for her. Some habits die hard, don't they? Mother recovered first, her society smile firmly in place. Bethany, darling, don't be crude. We were simply having a professional discussion about my husband's company. I raised an eyebrow. How fascinating. The silence that followed was delicious. Layla's perfect mouth formed a small O of horror. Mother's champagne glass trembled slightly. Your husband? Layla whispered. Lucian chose that moment to slide his arm around my waist, dropping a kiss on my temple. I see you've met my wife, he said pleasantly. Bethany's been the driving force behind tonight's event, among other things. But that's impossible, Mother sputtered. You left town with nothing. You were working in some shabby bookstore. The best place to rebuild yourself, I said softly. All those stories of revenge and redemption. Very inspiring. Across the room, Father was still cornering the senator. Jesse stood nearby, looking increasingly uncomfortable as he watched our little drama unfold. "Ladies and gentlemen," Zoe's voice rang out through the speakers. "Please take your seats. The presentation is about to begin." "You should find your tables," I smiled at my mother and sister. "I believe you're seated near the kitchen. The acoustics are quite good there. You won't miss a word." Mother grabbed Layla's arm, pulling her away. I caught snippets of their urgent whispers. "Did you know?" "How could she?" "What will people say?" "You okay?" Lucian squeezed my hand. "Never better." I straightened my spine. "Ready to destroy my father's company?" "After what they did to you?" He kissed my knuckles. "It's the least I can do." The lights dimmed. On the massive screen, images of children in classrooms began to play. I watched my family settle at their distant table. Father finally pulled away from the senator, Mother fixing her makeup to hide her distress, Layla gripping Jesse's arm too tightly. In a moment, I whispered to Lucian, "They'll learn what it feels like to lose everything they value. Status, reputation, power. And how does that make you feel?" I thought about the night I'd left town, my car packed with whatever I could grab. How I'd parked behind that small bookstore, crying until I had no tears left. How the owner found me in the morning and offered me not just a job, but a chance to start over. "They called Layla the upgrade," I said, watching my sister fidget nervously with her napkin. "Let's show them what a real upgrade looks like." The presentation shifted to corporate logos, sponsors, donors, and finally, Octagon Enterprises. I saw my father sit up straighter, probably already calculating how to leverage this connection. If he only knew. "Ladies and gentlemen," the announcer's voice boomed through the ballroom. "Please welcome our keynote speaker, CEO of Octagon Enterprises, Mr. Lucian Foster." As Lucian stood, straightening his jacket, I caught Layla's devastated expression across the room. She'd finally realized what she'd been doing, hitting on my husband, trying to steal another man from her sister. Some people never learn. But tonight, the lesson would be unforgettable. "The first night in my car was the coldest," I told Zoe, as we watched Lucian take the stage. "I had this ratty blanket and a backpack full of clothes. The bookstore's security light kept flickering on and off." "Stop!" Zoe squeezed my arm. "You're not that girl anymore." On stage, Lucian commanded attention effortlessly. "Tonight isn't just about charity," his voice carried through the ballroom. "It's about integrity, about consequences." I caught Jesse shifting uncomfortably in his seat. He kept glancing between Lucian and me, his face growing paler by the minute. Layla noticed his distraction and jabbed him with her elbow. "As CEO of Octagon Enterprises," Lucian continued, "I believe in accountability. In the coming weeks, we'll be conducting comprehensive audits of all our partner companies." Father's champagne glass froze halfway to his lips. "Speaking of partners," Hassan murmured beside me, "your father's been trying to reach our financial department all week. Seems he's desperate to secure that infrastructure contract before the audit." "Mr. Foster!" Father suddenly stood, raising his glass. "If I might interrupt, I'd like to propose a toast to your exceptional leadership." The room rippled with awkward murmurs. Lucian's smile remained diplomatic. "Thank you, Mr. Lowe, but perhaps we should save the toasts for—" "No, please!" Father stepped forward, his desperation barely concealed. "Everyone here should know about our long-standing partnership. Why, Octagon Enterprises has been crucial to my company's success." "Daddy, sit down," Layla hissed, mortified. I felt a presence beside me and turned to find Jesse, his face drawn. "Bethany, please, whatever you're planning—" "Planning?" I raised an eyebrow. I'm just watching my father make a fool of himself, rather like you did with my sister. You don't understand. If that contract falls through, I'll lose everything? I finished for him. Funny how that feels, isn't it? On stage, Lucian was handling father's interruption with practiced ease. Yes, we value all our partnerships, which is why transparency is so important. Hassan, would you join me? Hassan straightened his tie and headed for the stage. Father's face went from desperate to ashen. Remember the bookstore owner? I turned back to Jessie. Margaret. She found me crying in her parking lot at 6 a.m., offered me coffee, then a job, said broken things could be rebuilt stronger. Bethany. She introduced me to Lucian. He came in looking for first editions. I was shelving books in my second-hand clothes, but he saw something in me that you and my family missed. Hassan was now displaying financial graphs on the screen. Father had sunk back into his chair, mother clutching his arm. Your sister, Jessie's voice cracked. She's not what I thought. Nothing like you. No, I agreed. She's exactly what you deserve. Layla was storming toward us, her face twisted with fury. What did you do? She demanded. Daddy looks like he's about to faint. Karma, I smiled. It's a fascinating concept, rather like upgrading to a better model, wouldn't you say? You vindictive little... Ladies and gentlemen, Hassan's voice cut through the tension. Our preliminary audits have revealed some concerning discrepancies in several partner companies. Most notably... Stop! Father lurched to his feet again. This is inappropriate for a charity event. On the contrary, Lucian stepped forward. This charity focuses on education. What better lesson than showing children the importance of honest business practices? The screen behind him filled with damning numbers. I watched my father's empire crumble in real time, each figure another nail in his professional coffin. You planned this. Layla grabbed my arm. You married him just to destroy us. I carefully removed her hand. No, sister. I married him because he loved me. Destroying you is just a bonus. Companies found in violation, Hassan continued, will be immediately suspended from all contracts pending full investigation. Mother was openly crying now. Father had collapsed into his chair, his face grey. Around them, other guests were already shifting away, creating a bubble of social isolation. Jessie, Layla turned to her husband. Do something! But Jessie was staring at me with a mixture of regret and fear. It's over, Layla. We did this to ourselves. Over? She laughed hysterically. Nothing's over. Daddy will fix this. He always fixes everything. Not this time, I said softly. The cautionary tale just rewrote herself. On stage, Lucian was wrapping up. And now, I'd like to thank the person who made tonight possible. My wife, Bethany Foster. The spotlight found me. Applause filled the room. I stepped forward, leaving my sister and her husband behind, moving toward the stage where my husband waited. 5 years ago, I'd fled this town in tears, broken and humiliated. Tonight, I walked through it in Louboutins, my head high, their world crumbling at my feet. Some might call it revenge. I called it justice. Bethany? A familiar voice stopped me as I left the stage. Got a minute? I turned to find Celeste, Jessie's sister, my former best friend, standing there in a midnight blue dress. 5 years ago, she'd been my maid of honor. Now, she looked like she'd seen a ghost. Celeste! I kept my voice neutral. This is unexpected. I left his wedding, she blurted out. Halfway through, couldn't stomach watching him marry Layla after what they did to you. Before I could respond, Zoe appeared at my elbow. B, we have a situation. Your father's making scene by the bar. Excuse me. I started to turn, but Celeste grabbed my hand. I work for Lucian, she said quickly. On his advisory board. He doesn't know our connection, but I've been helping Hassan track your father's fraudulent activities for months. That stopped me cold. You what? Ladies, Lucian approached, his expression concerned. We might need to handle damage control. Peter's threatening to expose some imaginary corporate conspiracy. I looked toward the bar, where my father was getting louder, his face red with alcohol and rage. Mother tried unsuccessfully to quiet him, while Layla and Jessie pretended not to know him. Let him rant, I said. The evidence speaks for itself. About that evidence, Celeste stepped forward. Mr. Foster, sir, I need to confess something. Lucian's eyebrows rose as Celeste explained our history and her role in the investigation. His face softened when she described leaving Jessie's wedding. At least someone in that family has a conscience, he said finally. Bethany. My father's voice boomed across the room. You ungrateful little snake! Heads turned as he staggered toward us, Mother trailing behind him, wringing her hands. Peter, please, she begged. You're making a scene. A scene? He laughed bitterly. Our daughter just destroyed our family's reputation, and you're worried about a scene? You destroyed your own reputation, I said calmly. I just exposed it. You think you're so clever, he sneered. Married the big-shot CEO, came back for revenge, but you're still that pathetic bookworm who wasn't good enough for anyone. That's enough, Lucian stepped forward, but I held up my hand. No, let him finish. I want everyone to hear exactly who my father is. Who I am. Father's voice rose higher. I'm the man who built everything from nothing, who gave you ungrateful girls everything. And this is how you repay me? Everything? I laughed. You gave Layla everything. You gave me a car to sleep in and a family who thought I was disposable. Because you were, he shouted, until you trapped this poor bastard into marriage. The slap echoed through the suddenly silent ballroom, but it wasn't from me. It was from Celeste. How dare you, she said, her voice shaking. I watched you destroy her, watched you laugh while she packed her car. You want to know how she trapped Lucian? She rebuilt herself while you were busy destroying your own company with fraud. Security was moving toward us now. Father's face had turned purple. Mr. Lowe, Hassan appeared with 2 guards. I believe it's time for you to leave. You can't, he started. Actually, we can. Lucian's voice was steel. This is my wife's hotel. The color drained from my parents' faces. Mother's perfectly manicured hand flew to her throat. Your hotel? She whispered. Amazing what you can achieve when you're not busy stealing your sister's fiancé. I smiled. I bought it last year. Rather fitting, don't you think? The place where you always held your charity galas? Security began escorting my father out. Mother followed, her shoulders slumped in defeat. Layla stood frozen by the bar, mascara running down her cheeks while Jessie stared into his whiskey. I'm so sorry. Celeste touched my arm. For not being there when it happened, for not stopping them. You're here now, I said softly. That's something. Mrs. Foster. Zoe approached cautiously. The press is asking for a statement about the audit announcements. I looked at Lucian, who nodded encouragingly. Tell them the truth. Octagon Enterprises is committed to transparency and integrity. No exceptions, even for family. As Zoe hurried off, I caught sight of my reflection in a nearby mirror. The scared girl who'd slept in her car was gone, replaced by someone stronger, someone who'd learned that the best revenge isn't just success, it's justice served cold and clean. Ready to finish this? Lucian squeezed my hand. Almost, I smiled, watching Layla collect her things, preparing to slink away. I think it's time for that recording Hassan mentioned earlier. Let everyone hear exactly what my dear sister really thinks about charity work. Celeste grinned. Now that's the Bethany I remember. The night wasn't over yet, and neither was the lesson. Everything's set in the green room, Zoe whispered, adjusting her earpiece. Layla took the bait about the exclusive donor interview. I nodded, watching my sister primp in front of the mirror, completely unaware she was about to star in her own downfall. The hidden cameras were rolling, streaming directly to the main ballroom's screens. Ready? Hassan stood by the control panel. Wait, I touched his arm. I want to do this myself. I entered the green room, closing the door behind me. Layla spun around, her smile faltering when she saw me. Oh, she sneered. I thought this was for important donors. It is. I sat down, crossing my legs. I just wanted a private chat first, sister to sister. There's nothing to discuss. She turned back to the mirror. You've had your revenge. Daddy's ruined, Mother's devastated. Happy now? Almost. I smiled. Tell me, how does it feel to be the downgrade? She whirled around, face flushed. Excuse me? That's what you called me, remember? The prototype? The one that needed upgrading? I examined my manicure. Funny how life works out. You think you're so perfect now. Layla's voice rose. With your rich husband and your fancy hotel, I know what you really are, a bitter, frumpy little bookworm who couldn't keep her man. Keep going, I encouraged softly. Tell me how you really feel. You want to know how I feel? She stepped closer, jabbing a finger at me. I feel disgusted. You sit there pretending to care about charity while plotting revenge. At least I'm honest about who I am. Are you? I raised an eyebrow. Tell me about your charitable work, Layla. The kind you were bragging about to my husband earlier. She laughed harshly. Please, you think anyone actually cares about these brats? It's all networking, you idiot. But you wouldn't understand that, would you? Too busy feeling sorry for yourself, sleeping in your car like some pathetic... The door opened. Lucien stood there, his face hard. Behind him, I could see Jessie, looking sick. I think that's enough footage, Lucien said quietly. Footage? Layla's eyes widened as she noticed the small red lights in the corners. You were recording? Still are. I stood up. And streaming live to the ballroom. Want to wave to your audience? She lunged for me, but Jessie caught her arm. Don't, he warned. You've done enough. Me? She shrieked. She's the one who... Who what? I cut in. Expose the truth? That you're a fraud? That you stole your sister's fiancé and laughed about it? That you tried to do it again tonight without even knowing he was my husband? The color drained from her face as reality sank in. Through the open door, we could hear the murmur of shocked voices from the ballroom. You've ruined me, she whispered. No, Layla. You did that yourself. I walked to the door, then paused. By the way, that pathetic girl sleeping in her car? She owns this hotel now, and she's about to own every property Father used as collateral for his fraudulent loans. Jessie stepped forward. Bethany, please. Save it. I held up my hand. You two deserve each other. The social climber and the weak man who couldn't say no. Back in the ballroom, the atmosphere was electric. Celeste stood with Hassan by the control panel, both trying to hide their smiles. Mother sat alone at her table, staring into space. Ladies and gentlemen, Lucien took the stage again. I believe we've all seen a powerful lesson tonight about integrity and consequences. Now, let's focus on what really matters. The children we're here to help. The crowd applauded, grateful for the chance to move past the drama. But the damage was done. I watched as people subtly shifted away from my mother's table, as phones came out to spread the gossip, as my sister's carefully crafted social facade crumbled in real time. You okay? Zoe appeared with water. Perfect. I took a sip, though I think we just guaranteed next year's gala will be even more popular. Nothing sells tickets like scandal, she agreed. Speaking of which, your mother's heading this way. But for once, Mother walked past me without a word. Her shoulders were slumped, her designer dress suddenly looking tired and overdone. "Mrs. Foster?" a young server approached. "There's a Margaret here to see you? From the bookstore?" My heart jumped. I hadn't seen Margaret since the day I left the store to marry Lucian. "Send her in," I said softly. As I waited, I caught Layla watching me from the doorway, mascara streaked down her face. For a moment, I saw us as we used to be, sisters, before ambition and cruelty took over. Then Margaret appeared, and the moment passed. It was time to thank the woman who'd helped me rise from the ashes my family had created. After all, every good revenge story needs a fairy godmother. "Look at you." Margaret's eyes crinkled as she hugged me. "From sleeping in your car to owning the hotel, I always knew you had it in you." "I had help," I smiled, breathing in her familiar scent of coffee and old books. "You gave me a chance when no one else would." "Speaking of chances," Lucian appeared beside us, "I believe it's time for the final announcement." Margaret squeezed my hand. "Go get 'em, kid." The ballroom hushed as Lucian took the stage one last time. I watched my mother perk up slightly, probably hoping for some last-minute redemption. "Tonight has been enlightening," Lucian began. "We've seen the importance of integrity, of facing consequences. But there's one more announcement to make." Hassan stepped forward with a folder. My father, who had somehow sneaked back in, straightened in his chair. "Octagon Enterprises is launching a new educational initiative," Lucian continued. "A scholarship program for students who've overcome significant personal obstacles, and we're naming it after someone who exemplifies that spirit of resilience." I felt Margaret's hand on my shoulder as Lucian's voice filled the room. "The Margaret Williams Scholarship Fund will provide full university funding for students who, like my wife, found themselves starting over with nothing but determination and grace." The applause was immediate. Margaret's eyes filled with tears as Lucian gestured for us both to join him on stage. "No," Father's voice cut through the applause. "This is ridiculous. That bookstore witch helped you steal my daughter." "Peter," Mother hissed, trying to pull him back down. "Actually," I took the microphone from Lucian, "Margaret saved your daughter. When you and Mother were too busy grooming Layla to steal my fiancé, Margaret gave me a job. When you laughed about upgrading to a better model, she taught me my worth." "And look how you repaid us," he shouted, "by destroying everything I built." "Everything you stole," Hassan corrected, stepping forward. "The audit revealed systematic fraud going back years. Care to explain the offshore accounts, Mr. Lowe?" Father's face went from red to white. In the shocked silence, I heard Mother's sharp intake of breath. "Peter," she whispered, "what offshore accounts?" "It's not what you think," he stammered. "I was just trying to protect our lifestyle, our status." "Your status?" Celeste stood up. "You mean the status you built by destroying your own daughter? Well, guess what? As head of Octagon's advisory board, I'm officially recommending criminal charges." The room erupted in whispers. Security moved toward my father again, but this time, Mother stepped away from him. "All these years," she said, her voice breaking, "all these years of looking down on Bethany for being common, and you were stealing money." "Margot, please," he reached for her, "don't touch me." She backed away. "I supported you when you pushed Jessie toward Layla. I laughed at my own daughter because you said it was for the best. And now we're nothing but criminals." Lila, who had been surprisingly quiet, suddenly laughed, a harsh, broken sound. "Oh, this is perfect. Daddy's a thief, Mother's having a crisis, and little bookworm Bethany owns us all." "Not quite all," Lucian smiled coldly. "Hassan, would you like to share the other findings?" Hassan opened his folder. "Mr. Knight, care to explain why your signature appears on several of these fraudulent documents?" Jessie, who had been trying to blend into the background, froze. I I was just following orders. Following orders? Layla's voice rose hysterically. You knew about this. Darling. He reached for her, but she recoiled. Don't darling me. You let me humiliate myself trying to seduce her husband when you knew we were about to lose everything. Security was moving in now, discreet but firm. Father seemed to deflate before our eyes, his carefully maintained facade crumbling completely. The authorities have been notified, Hassan announced. They'll want to speak with both Mr. Lowe and Mr. Knight. As they were led away, I turned back to the microphone. The Margaret Williams Scholarship Fund will ensure that no one has to sleep in their car to escape toxic family dynamics. Sometimes the best revenge isn't destruction, it's creation, building something meaningful from the ashes of betrayal. Margaret hugged me again as the room erupted in genuine applause. Across the crowd, I saw Mother sitting alone, her perfect world shattered. Layla had disappeared, probably to call her lawyer. Ready to go home? Lucian whispered in my ear. I looked around the ballroom one last time, at Margaret, who'd saved me, at Celeste, who'd chosen integrity over family loyalty, at Zoe and Hassan, who'd helped orchestrate this perfect storm of justice. Yes, I smiled. But first, I have one more announcement to make. I turned to Lucian, taking his hand and placing it gently on my still flat stomach. His eyes widened as understanding dawned. Sometimes, the best revenge is living well. And sometimes, it's creating a new generation that will never know the pain of betrayal. The morning sun streamed through our penthouse windows as I sipped ginger tea, watching the news unfold on TV. My father's face filled the screen as reporters detailed his arrest. The headline scrolled beneath, "Prominent developer arrested for fraud." You should be resting, Lucian said, joining me on the couch. I'm pregnant, not invalid. I smiled, touching my barely visible bump. Besides, I wouldn't miss this for anything. My phone buzzed, another message from Layla. The 10th this week, each one more desperate than the last. Still trying to reach you? Lucian asked. She wants me to help with Jessie's legal fees. I showed him the message. Says she'll make it up to me somehow. Some people never learn. The elevator chimed, and Zoe burst in, waving a newspaper. Have you seen this? Your mother's filing for divorce. I took the paper, scanning the society column. There was Mother, looking 10 years older, being quoted about starting over and acknowledging past mistakes. She sent me a letter, I said quietly. Asked if we could meet for coffee. Said she wants to be a proper grandmother. And? Lucian's hand found mine. I haven't decided yet. I set down the paper. Some wounds need more than an apology to heal. The TV switched to footage of Jessie being led into court. Celeste appeared on screen, making a statement about corporate responsibility and family loyalty. Speaking of healing, Zoe settled into an armchair. Margaret called. The scholarship fund received over $2 million in donations after the gala. Turns out revenge is pretty profitable when it's wrapped in charity. It was never about the money, I said, standing to walk to the window. Below, the city sprawled out, including the bookstore, where I'd rebuilt myself, now owned by Margaret, but funded by me. My phone buzzed again. This time, it was Hassan. They found more offshore accounts, he reported. Your father was stealing from his employees' pension funds. Of course he was. I ended the call, feeling oddly empty. You know what's strange? Part of me thought revenge would feel bigger, more satisfying. And it doesn't? Lucian asked. It does, but not how I expected. I pressed my hand to my stomach. I thought I'd feel triumphant watching them fall. Instead, I just feel clean, like finally washing off years of dirt. The elevator chimed again. This time Margaret stepped out, carrying a familiar-looking box. Found these while cleaning the store's attic, she said, setting down the box. Thought you might want them. Inside were books, my old collection from the bookstore days. Dog-eared paperbacks about women rising from ashes, about justice and redemption. You read these over and over, Margaret smiled. Living in your car, working the register, said they gave you hope. They gave me more than that. I pulled out a worn copy of my favorite. They gave me a blueprint. Every good revenge story needs 3 things: patience, purpose, and a spectacular finale. Zoe grinned. Peace, I corrected. The kind that comes from knowing you've reclaimed your narrative. My phone buzzed one final time. A news alert. Father's company was declaring bankruptcy. All assets would be liquidated, including the family home where I'd grown up. The house is going up for auction. I showed Lucian the alert. Want to buy it? He asked. We could turn it into something meaningful. I thought about it, remembering Sunday dinners where I was never good enough, family photos where I was always slightly out of frame. No, I decided. Let someone else make new memories there. We'll build our own home, with our own traditions. Speaking of traditions, Margaret pulled something else from her bag, a small, wrapped package. A gift for the baby. Every child needs their first book. Inside was a leather-bound collection of fairy tales, not the sanitized versions, but the original stories where justice wasn't always kind, but was always served. Perfect, I smiled, tracing the embossed cover. Some stories need to be remembered. Zoe's phone chimed. Layla's giving an interview, she announced, claiming she was also a victim of your father's schemes. Let her spin her stories, I said, settling back onto the couch with my book. We know the truth. Outside, the city continued its rhythm. Somewhere, my father sat in a cell. My mother planned her new life. My sister crafted her excuses. But here, in this penthouse with my chosen family, I finally felt the weight of the past lift. Read to us? Lucian asked, nodding at the fairy tale book. I opened to the first page, one hand resting on my growing bump. Once upon a time, I began, there was a girl who learned that the best revenge isn't just surviving, it's thriving. Some say revenge is hollow, but they're wrong. Sometimes, revenge is just another word for justice, and justice, when served cold and clean, tastes like freedom.
$20,000. I blinked hard at my phone screen, hoping the number would change. It didn't. Neither did the string of charges from bridal boutiques, florists, and something called Enchanted Events and Design. My hands started shaking as I scrolled through transaction after transaction, each one a fresh punch to the gut. My name is Selena, and I just discovered my little sister had turned my emergency credit card into her personal wedding slush fund. What's wrong? You look like you've seen a ghost. Bella set down her coffee mug, peering at me across my kitchen table. I'd invited her over for our weekly Sunday brunch, but now my Eggs Benedict sat untouched, growing cold. Lacey, my voice cracked. She took my card, the one I keep for emergencies. Look at this. I turned my phone toward Bella, whose eyes widened as she scrolled. Holy shit, Selena. When did she even get access to your card? Remember when I had that flu in January? She came over with homemade soup and insisted on staying to take care of me. Must have found it while I was passed out with fever. Call her, right now. Bella's tone was steel. I did. Lacey answered on the third ring, her voice chirpy. Hey sis, I was just thinking about you. Have you picked your bridesmaid dress yet? Lacey, why is there $20,000 of wedding charges on my credit card? A pause. Then, with the casual air of someone discussing the weather, oh yeah, I meant to mention that. I just needed a little help with deposits and stuff. Don't worry. I'll totally pay you back once Danny and I get our wedding gifts. The room started spinning. You'll pay me back? Lacey, this is credit card fraud. Oh my God, don't be so dramatic. She laughed. We're sisters. Family helps family. I'm calling Mom and Dad. Already did. Her voice turned smug. They completely understand. Mom said you're being selfish, actually. This is my special day, Selena. Don't ruin it just because you're jealous you're not the one getting married. I ended the call and immediately dialed my parents. Mom answered, her voice clipped with disapproval before I could even speak. Selena, your sister just called in tears. I can't believe you're making such a fuss over this. Mom, she stole my credit card. This is literally a crime. Don't you dare use that word. This is your sister's wedding, the happiest day of her life. Your father and I raised you better than this. Family supports family. By committing fraud? Stop being melodramatic, you have a good job. You can afford to help your sister have her dream wedding. Why do you always have to make everything so difficult? I sat there, phone pressed to my ear, listening to my mother lecture me about family loyalty and sacrifice, about how Lacey was under so much stress planning the perfect day, about how I should be ashamed for threatening to cause drama. When she finally ran out of steam, I said quietly, "You're right, Mom. I'll handle it. That's my girl. I knew you'd understand." I hung up and met Bella's concerned gaze. Well? They're defending her, like always. I pulled up my banking app and started typing. But they don't know something. What's that? I already filed a fraud claim with the credit card company this morning, and I named Lacey specifically as the perpetrator. My fingers flew across the screen as I submitted the final documentation. I also have screenshots of every transaction, security camera footage from stores where she used the card, and copies of all the receipts she so thoughtfully posted on Instagram. Bella's mouth dropped open. Holy shit, Selena. They think I'm the weak one, the responsible one who'll roll over and take it because family. I set down my phone and finally took a bite of my cold breakfast. They're about to learn how wrong they are. What are you going to do? I smiled, but there was no warmth in it. I'm going to sit back and watch as my dear sister's perfect wedding falls apart piece by piece. And the best part? I won't have to lift a finger. The law will do it for me. You're scary when you're calm like this. I learned from the best. I raised my coffee mug. To Karma wearing a bridesmaid's dress. Bella clinked her mug against mine, but her expression was worried. Just be careful, okay? This is going to get ugly. It already is ugly. I pulled up my credit card statement again, each fraudulent charge fuel for the cold fire building in my chest. They just don't know it yet. Ms. Mann? The detective's voice was steady on the phone. I'm Detective Gross with the Financial Crimes Unit. We've received your fraud report and supporting documentation. I closed my office door, grateful for the privacy. Yes, thank you for calling. I have more evidence if you need it. Actually, what you've provided is quite thorough. There was a note of impressed surprise in his voice. The time-stamped security footage from the bridal boutique is particularly helpful. Did you request that yourself? Yes. I also have screenshots of my sister's social media posts showing her using my card at various venues. She was not discreet. I can see that. Papers shuffled on his end. The post where she's holding up your credit card and captioning it, "Best sister ever," is particularly interesting, given that you've stated you never gave her permission to use it. She tagged me in that post too, I said dryly. Apparently she thought I wouldn't notice $20,000 in charges because she was being so public about it. My computer pinged with a new message in the family group chat. I opened it while Detective Gross continued talking. Lacey. OMG everyone, just booked the most amazing champagne fountain for the reception. It's going to be so Instagram-worthy. Mom. That's wonderful, sweetie. Your wedding will be perfect. Dad. Whatever makes you happy, princess. I took screenshots, adding them to my growing folder of evidence. Ms. Mann? Detective Gross pulled my attention back. Are you certain you want to pursue criminal charges? This being family, sometimes people prefer to handle things privately. Detective, my sister didn't just steal my card. She's actively lying to her fiancé about where the money's coming from. She told him I gifted her $20,000 as a wedding present. That complicates things. It gets better. Want to know what she texted our cousin about me last week? I pulled up the screenshot. Selena's such a pushover. She works so hard to be the responsible one. It's honestly pathetic, but at least her credit score is good enough to fund my dream wedding. More paper shuffling. You've documented everything. Down to the minute she took the card from my apartment. I have security footage from my building showing her entering at 2:17 p.m. on January 12th and leaving at 3:45 p.m. The first fraudulent charge was made at 4:22 p.m. that same day. Ms. Mann, he paused. This level of documentation is unusual for these cases. I knew nobody would believe me without proof. My family never does. Later that evening, Bella came over with wine and takeout. I showed her the expanding evidence folder on my laptop while we ate. "Girl, this is next level," she said, scrolling through. "You even have the receipt from when she bought her wedding dress? And the alteration receipts, and photos of her wearing it while it was being fitted. All paid with my card. All meticulously documented on her Instagram with helpful timestamps." What did the detective say? That they're building a case. Apparently, having the perpetrator document their own crime on social media makes their job easier. I took a long sip of wine. The best part? Lacey keeps adding to the evidence every day. Look at this. I pulled up a new post from an hour ago. Lacey posing with expensive flower arrangements, captioned, "Final wedding flowers picked. Thank you, Asalinum, for making all my dreams come true. Best sister ever." She's really out here tagging you in her crime spree. Bella shook her head. Has she always been this bold? Remember when she crashed Dad's car in high school? Told the police I was driving, even though I was away at college? Mom and Dad believed her until the security cameras at my dorm proved I was 300 miles away. And they still take her side? Every time. I closed my laptop. But this time is different. This time I have receipts. Literal and metaphorical. My phone buzzed. Detective Gross. Ms. Mann, we've reviewed everything. The bank is formally pressing charges. Would you like to make a statement? It's happening. I showed Bella the message. They're moving forward with charges. Are you ready for this? Once it starts? I know. I typed my response. Yes, I'll make a statement. And detective? I have even more evidence to share. Bella touched my arm. Selena, this isn't just revenge. You know that, right? No, I agreed, thinking of all the years of manipulation, lies, and gaslighting. Of being told I was overreacting, being difficult, not supporting family. This isn't revenge. This is justice with receipts. I hit send on my response to Detective Gross, then raised my wine glass. To paper trails and karma. To finally standing up for yourself, Bella clinked her glass against mine. May your sister look good in orange. The engagement party sparkled with fairy lights and champagne bubbles. I adjusted my hidden recording device, a small microphone clipped inside my clutch, and plastered on my best supportive sister smile. Selena! Lacey squealed, rushing over in a designer dress I recognized from my credit card statement. You came, and you look nice. Her eyes flicked dismissively over my simple black cocktail dress, the one I'd actually paid for myself. Wouldn't miss it. I hugged her, noting how she immediately pulled away to greet more glamorous guests. The champagne tower she'd ordered caught the light, each crystal glass a reminder of the charges still sitting on my card. Hey, Selena. Danny, Lacey's fiancé, appeared beside me. Sweet, innocent Danny, who had no idea his dream wedding was being built on fraud. Can I talk to you for a minute? We stepped onto the venue's terrace. My recording device caught every word. I just wanted to say thank you, he said, genuine emotion in his voice. Lacey told me about your amazing gift. $20,000. I couldn't believe it. My family's not well off, and knowing her sister stepped up like that. He wiped his eyes. It means everything. My stomach churned. What exactly did Lacey tell you about the money? That you'd been saving it for her wedding day. That you wanted her to have her dream celebration because she's your only sister. He smiled. You're really something special, Selena. Before I could respond, my mother clinked her glass for attention. Everyone gathered around as she raised her champagne flute. To my beautiful daughter, Lacey, Mom beamed, her voice carrying clearly to my recorder. The heart of our family. When she told me about all these wonderful wedding plans, the venue, the flowers, the champagne tower, I knew she'd create something magical. And special thanks to Selena, she gestured toward me, for her contribution. The crowd awed. I took a large sip of champagne to hide my expression. Everything is just perfect, Mom continued. The flowers from Garden Grove, the catering from Le Petit, the stunning decorations from Enchanted Events. She listed every vendor, every purchase, like she was reading directly from my credit card statement. My phone buzzed. An email from the bank. Fraud case number 2847 has been escalated to local law enforcement following confirmation of unauthorized charges. Selena? Danny touched my arm. You okay? You look pale. Just emotional, I lied. Big sister stuff, you know? Across the room, Lacey was showing off her engagement ring to her bridesmaids. And wait until you see my dress. It's Vera Wang, absolutely gorgeous. I still can't believe I got so lucky with everything working out financially. One bridesmaid, Sasha, frowned slightly. I thought you said your parents were paying for everything? Oh, well, you know, Lacey laughed nervously. Family all chips in. Speaking of, look at this amazing champagne tower. Instagram-worthy, right? I snapped a photo of the tower, then of Lacey's group. Evidence of the party's expensive touches, all funded by my stolen card. My phone buzzed again. Detective Gross requesting a meeting tomorrow. Time for gifts, Mom announced. Guests gathered around a table piled with presents. I'd brought one too, a simple card containing a copy of my credit card statement. I placed it carefully among the wrapped packages. Speech, someone called out. Lacey grabbed the microphone, giggling. I just want to thank everyone for coming tonight. This wedding is going to be absolutely incredible. No expense spared. She winked at me. When you have amazing family supporting you, anything is possible. I promise it'll be a day no one will ever forget. No one will ever forget it, all right? I muttered under my breath. The party continued into the night. I stayed until the end, recording everything. Every mention of purchases, every vendor name dropped, every time Lacey bragged about her perfect wedding plans. As guests began leaving, I overheard Lacey on the phone with the wedding planner. Yes, we can absolutely add the ice sculpture. Just charge it to the same card as before. My phone lit up with a fraud alert moments later. Having fun? Bella texted. Got everything I needed, I replied. Meeting with Detective Gross tomorrow. The bank officially confirmed it as fraud. How are you holding up? I watched Lacey pose for photos with the champagne tower, tagging me in yet another social media post about her generous sister. I'm fine, I typed back, just watching my sister dig her own grave one credit card charge at a time. As I left the party, Danny caught me in a final hug. Thanks again, Selena. You're making Lacey's dreams come true. I hugged him back, thinking of the fraud investigation gaining momentum. Trust me, Danny, the wedding day will be unforgettable. Remember when Lacey totaled your car? Bella asked, helping me sort through old family photos. Senior year of college? You mean when she borrowed it without permission and crashed into a tree? I pulled out a picture from that day, my destroyed Honda Civic, Lacey crying dramatically while Mom consoled her. Dad made me file the insurance claim since it was in my name. Raised my rates for years. And they bought her a new car 2 months later. Because she learned her lesson and needed reliable transportation. I mimicked Mom's voice. Meanwhile, I took the bus for a year. Detective Gross sat across from us at my kitchen table taking notes. And this pattern of behavior has been consistent? Let me show you something. I pulled out more photos. Here's Lacey's high school graduation. Notice anything? He studied the image. Expensive dress? Prom dress, actually. She spent $3,000 of mom and dad's money on it. When I asked to borrow $500 from my college textbooks that same month, they said they were too stretched thin. Any other financial incidents? I laid out document after document. Credit card statements showing bills they'd paid off for her. Bank transfers covering her rent when she forgot to pay. Letters from colleges about dropped classes they'd paid for. She's never faced consequences, I explained. Not once. My phone buzzed. A family group text from Mom. Dinner tonight at our house. Important wedding details to discuss. Selena, please be there. Perfect timing, Detective Gross said. Wear your recording device. Try to get her talking about the credit card. That evening, I sat at my parents' familiar dining room table, phone recording in my pocket. Mom served her signature lasagna while Lacey dominated the conversation. So the videographer needs another $2,000 as a deposit, she announced. Selena, can you take care of that tomorrow? Same card as before? Actually, I kept my voice casual. How did you get that card number? I don't remember giving it to you. Oh my God, are you still on about that? Lacey rolled her eyes. I told you, I found it that day I brought you soup. You were basically delirious with fever, but you said I could use it. Did I? I don't remember that conversation. Selena, Mom cut in sharply, stop interrogating your sister. This is about her special day. I'm just curious about the timeline, because my first credit card alert was actually before you brought me soup. Lacey's fork clattered against her plate. Why are you being like this? Like what? I just want to understand when and how you got my card. Girls, Dad finally spoke up, let's not ruin dinner. You know what? Lacey pushed back from the table. I don't need this negativity. I'm under enough stress planning the wedding of my dreams. Dreams usually don't involve theft, I muttered. What did you say? Mom's voice turned icy. Nothing. I smiled sweetly. Hey, Lacey, remind me, what did you tell Danny about the wedding funding? That you gave it as a gift. Because you love me. Her voice wavered slightly. Interesting. And the vendors? They all have the same story about how they got paid? I don't know what you're implying, Mom interrupted. But I think you should leave if you're going to upset your sister. My phone vibrated. Detective Gross. We have enough. Arrest warrant being processed. You're right, I stood up. I should go. But Lacey, you might want to rethink those additional vendor deposits. Just a suggestion. Is that a threat? Lacey's eyes narrowed. No, just someone finally telling you no. I drove home in silence, letting the weight of what was coming settle over me. Within minutes, my phone exploded with texts. Mom, how dare you ruin dinner? Apologize to your sister. Dad, your mother is very upset. Fix this. Lacey, you're just jealous because no one wants to marry you. I forwarded the messages to Detective Gross, then called Bella. How'd it go? They're still defending her. Even with proof she's lying, they're choosing her side. The warrants being processed? Yeah. I sank onto my couch. 2 weeks until the wedding. Want to bet how many more charges she'll rack up before then? You okay? I thought about Danny's grateful face. About years of watching Lacey take and take while I was expected to give and give. About Mom and Dad's willful blindness. You know what? I am okay. Because in 2 weeks, they're all going to learn what real consequences feel like. My phone lit up with one final text from Detective Gross. Warrant approved. Will execute at your discretion. Are you sure you want to wait until the wedding day? I typed back quickly. Yes. Let her have her perfect wedding morning. The afternoon will be memorable enough. Am I a terrible person? I asked my therapist, Dr. Rivera. Bella had finally convinced me to start sessions, saying I needed support for what was coming. Part of me wants to stop this, to just let her have her day. Why do you think you want to stop it? Because it's going to destroy my family. Because maybe I should be the bigger person. Because... My phone buzzed. Another credit card alert. $3,500 to a luxury car service. Because she's still doing it, I finished quietly. Even with the wedding less than 2 weeks away, she's still charging things to my card. Tell me about the toll this has taken on you, Dr. Rivera prompted. I can't sleep. Every alert makes my heart race. I've had to defer my student loan payments because my credit limit is maxed out. My voice cracked. I trusted her. She's my sister. After therapy, I created an anonymous Reddit account. I needed to tell someone, everyone, what was happening. I detailed everything: the theft, the lies, the years of enabling. Within hours, the post went viral. OMG, I think I know who this is about. A DM popped up from an unfamiliar account. I'm in your sister's bridal party. She's been bragging about how her sister is funding everything. I clicked the profile. It was Sasha, one of Lacey's bridesmaids. The way she talks about you behind your back, Sasha continued. It's awful. Yesterday she told us you're just jealous because you're single and boring. But then she charged another $500 of bridesmaid gifts to your card. My phone rang. Detective Gross. Ms. Mann, we've had an interesting development. Your sister just tried to open a new credit card in your name. The bank flagged it immediately. She what? Apparently the existing card is reaching its limit. She attempted to create a new one using your social security number. I ended the call and drove straight to my parents' house. Lacey's car was in the driveway. How dare you try to open a credit card in my name? I burst through the door. Lacey jumped up from the couch. How did you... what are you talking about? The bank called me. Identity theft now too, Lacey? Really? I needed it for the honeymoon deposits. You're being so selfish about the wedding expenses, I had to do something. Selfish? I never gave you permission to use my card in the first place. Girls, Mom intervened. Selena, stop this ridiculous drama. Lacey, sweetie, maybe you should have asked first. Asked? Asked? I pulled out my phone. Look at this. $23,000 now. She's still charging things daily. And now identity theft? It's not identity theft, Lacey scoffed. We're sisters. We share everything. Not my credit score, not my financial future, not anymore. What's that supposed to mean? I headed for the door. You'll find out soon enough. Is that a threat? Lacey followed me into the driveway. Because I'll tell Danny everything, how you're trying to ruin my wedding, how you promised to help and now you're being a jealous bitch. Tell him what, Lacey? The truth about where his dream wedding money came from? Go ahead. She grabbed my arm. You wouldn't dare. Let go of me. I pulled out my phone, already recording. And maybe check Reddit. There's an interesting story going viral about a bridezilla who committed credit card fraud. Her face went white. You didn't... Names changed to protect the guilty, of course. But the bridesmaids figured it out pretty quick, especially Sasha. You're lying. Am I? Check your messages. Notice how some of your bridal party is suddenly too busy to help with wedding prep? Lacey's composure cracked. She started screaming, mascara running down her face. You're ruining everything. Mom, make her stop. I got in my car as Mom rushed out. The last thing I heard was Lacey wailing, she's going to ruin my perfect day. Back home, I forwarded the recording of Lacey's meltdown to Detective Gross, then called Bella. I think I just went nuclear, I said shakily. You okay? No. Yes. I don't know. I opened my laptop to find the Reddit post had over 50,000 upvotes. It's all falling apart for her. Good, Bella said firmly. Let it fall. You've carried her weight long enough. My phone lit up with another credit alert. Won $200 at a luxury spa. She's still charging things, I told Bella. Even now, even after everything, she's still doing it. Then she's made her choice, and you've made yours. I looked at my calendar, at the wedding date circled in red. 12 days until her perfect day. 12 days until justice, Bella corrected. I closed my eyes, thinking of Lacey's screaming, Mom's enabling, Dad's silence. I hope it's worth it. It will be, Bella promised. Truth usually is. The Reddit post exploded overnight. Local wedding groups started buzzing with speculation. My anonymous story had taken on a life of its own, with people sharing similar experiences of entitled siblings and enabling parents. Have you seen this? Danny's text came with a screenshot of my post. Everyone's talking about it in the local wedding forums. Some people think it's about someone in town. My hands shook as I typed back, "That's crazy. What does Lacey think?" She's really upset. Says it's probably some jealous person trying to cause drama before wedding season. Another message popped up. Detective Gross. We need to talk. In person. I met him at a coffee shop downtown, away from my usual haunts. He looked grave. The credit card company has completed their investigation, he said, sliding a folder across the table. The total damages now exceed $25,000. That elevates this to a felony. A felony? My coffee cup froze halfway to my mouth. Your sister made additional charges this morning. Luxury spa packages for the bridal party. She's also attempted to open 3 more credit cards in your name since our last conversation. My phone buzzed. A group text from Mom. Final wedding rehearsal dinner meeting tonight. Everyone must attend, no excuses. Detective, I showed him the message. What's the plan for the arrest? Originally, we planned to serve the warrant at the rehearsal dinner, but given the escalating identity theft attempts... No, I cut in. Please, wait for the wedding. I know it sounds cruel, but she needs to face everyone she's lied to. He studied me for a long moment. It's your call. But you should know. We've been contacted by Danny's family. What? Why? They saw the Reddit post, started asking questions about the wedding finances. They've withdrawn their contribution to the honeymoon fund. My phone lit up again. Danny calling. Hey, I answered, trying to sound normal. Selena, I need to ask you something. His voice was strained. Did you really give Lacey $20,000 for the wedding? I closed my eyes. Danny, because I just found out my parents never promised to match that amount like she claimed. And now there's this story going around that matches everything exactly, except... Danny, I can't talk about this right now. Please, I need to know. Did you actually give her the money? Detective Gross nodded encouragingly. No, I whispered. I didn't give her anything. The silence on the other end was deafening. The rehearsal dinner is tomorrow, Danny finally said. I think we need to have a serious conversation before then. After hanging up, I turned to Detective Gross. If Danny confronts her, she'll likely panic and try to run. We have officers monitoring her movements. That evening, my parents' house was tense. Lacey looked terrible, her usual perfectly maintained appearance showing cracks. Danny sat quietly, barely touching his food. So, Mom clapped her hands, ignoring the atmosphere. Final arrangements. Lacey, did you confirm the luxury cars for the bridal party? All set. Lacey's voice was brittle. Everything's perfect. Honey, Danny interrupted. Where exactly did the money come from for all this? The room went silent. What do you mean? Lacey laughed nervously. We talked about this. Selena's gift, your parents' contribution. My parents never promised any money. Danny's voice was flat. I called them today. But, Lacey looked at me desperately. Selena, tell him about your gift. I stayed silent. Lacey, Danny stood up. I need the truth. Now. The truth, Mom jumped in, is that family helps family. Selena is being difficult about a few simple charges. $25,000, I said quietly. That's what she stole from me, and she just tried to open more credit cards in my name this morning. Lacey burst into tears. You're ruining everything. Mom, make her stop. Danny, I looked him in the eye. I never gave her permission to use my card. Ever. She took it while I was sick and has been maxing it out for months. Danny grabbed his coat. I need some air and time to think. Danny, wait! Lacey ran after him. My phone buzzed one final time. Detective Gross. Warrant ready. Wedding day confirmed. Officers will wait for your signal. I watched through the window as Danny drove away, Lacey sobbing in the driveway. Mom was crying in the kitchen. Dad stared blankly at his plate. I hope you're happy, Mom spat. You've ruined everything. No. I stood up, gathering my things. Lacey did that all on her own. I'm just making sure she finally faces consequences. What does that mean? I headed for the door. It means in 48 hours, Lacey's perfect wedding will turn into something very different. And for once, none of you can stop it. The sound of Lacey's sobs followed me to my car. But for the first time, I felt no guilt, only a calm certainty that justice was finally coming. The church buzzed with excitement. I sat alone in a black dress, watching guests file in beneath elaborate flower arches, all purchased with my stolen credit card. Detective Gross and 2 officers waited discreetly in the vestibule, unmarked cars parked outside. She's really going through with it, Bella whispered, sliding into the pew beside me. Danny's here too. Did he look okay? Confused, hurt. His parents are in the front row looking like they're at a funeral. My phone vibrated. Mom. Last chance to stop this madness. Please, for your sister. I turned my phone off and settled back as the music started. The bridesmaids processed in, their designer dresses rustling. Several of them, including Sasha, avoided looking at me. They knew. Then Lacey appeared, radiant in her stolen Vera Wang gown. Dad beamed proudly as he walked her down the aisle. She was the picture of bridal perfection, except for the slight tremor in her hands and the fear behind her smile. The ceremony began. I watched Danny's face as the priest spoke about truth, honor, and commitment. He looked ill. If anyone knows any reason why these 2 should not be joined in holy matrimony, speak now or forever. Hold your peace. The church doors opened. Detective Gross stepped forward, flanked by his officers. Lacey, man? His voice carried clearly through the stunned silence. I have a warrant for your arrest on charges of credit card fraud and identity theft. The gasps were audible. Lacey's bouquet hit the floor. No, she whispered. No, no, no. You have the right to remain silent, Detective Gross continued, approaching the altar. Anything you say can and will be used against you in a court of law. Mom! Lacey screamed. Daddy, do something! Our parents stood frozen as the officers reached her. The handcuffs clicked shut over her wrists, the sound echoing through the church. This is all your fault! Lacey shrieked at me as they led her past my pew. I hate you! I'll never forgive you! Danny stepped forward. Wait, detective? What exactly are the charges? Credit card theft exceeding $25,000, multiple attempts at identity theft, fraud across state lines due to online purchases. The wedding, Danny said slowly. Everything? It was all stolen? I'm afraid so, sir. We have documented evidence of Miss Mann using her sister's credit card without authorization, then attempting to open additional cards in her sister's name when the first card maxed out. Chaos erupted. Guests started whispering, phones recording everything. Mom collapsed into Dad's arms, wailing about her baby girl. The bridesmaids huddled together, some crying, others already posting on social media. Selena, Danny approached me, his face ashen. Did you know? This whole time? I tried to tell you, I said softly. She stole my card while I was sick. Every charge, every purchase, it was all fraud. The Reddit post, that was you? I nodded. Why didn't you stop this sooner? Because she needed to face real consequences, and you needed to see the truth before you married her. He sat heavily in the pew. $25,000. Actually, I pulled out my phone, showing him the final credit card statement. It ended up being closer to $30,000. She charged the wedding day hair and makeup this morning. Mom appeared suddenly, Her mascara streaked down her face. "How could you? Your own sister. How could I?" I stood up. "How could you? You knew she took my card. You knew everything was fraud, but you defended her like always. We're family. Family doesn't steal from family. Family doesn't commit felonies and expect everyone to cover it up." Through the church windows, I could see Lacey being placed in a police car, her white dress a stark contrast against the back seat. Photographers from local news outlets were already gathering. "The reception hall," Danny muttered. "All those people waiting." "I'll handle it," his father said, appearing beside us. "And Selena, thank you for stopping this before he married her." Guests began filing out, their excited chatter filling the air. My parents left without looking at me, following the police car carrying their precious daughter. Bella squeezed my hand. "You okay?" I watched as the last of the flower arrangements, my flower arrangements technically, were carried out by the church staff. "You know what's crazy?" I said. "She could have just asked me for help with the wedding, actually asked, like a normal person. I would have helped her, within reason. But then she wouldn't have gotten everything she wanted." "No," I agreed, thinking of all the years of enabling that led to this moment. She always had to have everything exactly her way. And now? I stood up, straightening my dress. Now she gets to learn about consequences, the hard way. Outside, camera flashes lit up the afternoon as Lacey's perfect wedding day turned into something very different, but exactly what she deserved. "You asked for an update," I typed on Reddit, my fingers hovering over the keyboard. "Here's what happened after the wedding that wasn't." The coffee shop buzzed around me as I crafted my post. Detective Gross sat across the table, sliding documents toward me. "The plea deal is final," he said. "Your sister accepted full responsibility, probation, mandatory financial counseling, and complete restitution." "Has she actually paid anything back?" "Your parents have. They took out a home equity loan to cover the full amount and avoid her serving jail time." My phone lit up. A text from Danny. "Meeting still okay for today? He's coming here?" Detective Gross gathered his papers. He wanted to return something. After the detective left, Danny arrived, carrying a familiar envelope. "Found this in the wedding cards. Think you should have it." I opened it. My original credit card statement, the one I'd planted among the gifts. "Keep it. Evidence of a bullet dodged." "I've been thinking about that day," he said quietly. "You could have stopped it sooner. Could have had her arrested at the engagement party, or when she tried opening those other cards. You deserve to see who she really was. Everyone did. Thank you for saving me from marrying someone who could do that to their own sister." After Danny left, I returned to my Reddit update. "Lacey's on probation. She's living with our parents who mortgaged their house to pay me back. The credit card company reversed all the charges once the fraud was confirmed. But the real cost wasn't financial. Mom still won't speak to me. Dad sends awkward text messages on holidays. Family friends have chosen sides. But here's the thing. For the first time in my life, I'm okay with that. Because sometimes family isn't about blood. It's about truth. It's about consequences. It's about finally saying enough when someone treats your love like an unlimited credit line." My phone buzzed. Bella. "Court-mandated therapy started today. You coming over later?" After I finished this update, I continued typing. "The wedding video never made it online, but pieces of the arrest did. They went viral. Local news covered it. Lacey's mugshot showed up in a few Bridezilla Gone Wrong articles. But that's not why I'm updating. I'm writing because yesterday I received an anonymous letter." I pulled out the handwritten note, rereading it. "Dear Selena, you don't know me, but your story gave me courage. My brother has been stealing from me for years. Parents always covered for him. Yesterday, I finally filed a police report. Thank you for showing me it's okay to say no to toxic family." A sister who found her voice. The barista brought me a fresh coffee as I typed the final paragraphs. "People keep asking if I regret it. If I wish I'd handled it differently. The truth is, I don't. Because this was never about the money. It was about patterns, about enabling, about the difference between love and exploitation. Lacey's not speaking to me, but she's speaking to a therapist. Mom and Dad are finally facing their role in creating this mess. And me? I'm learning that family can be rebuilt, but only on a foundation of respect. The credit card company sent me a new card last week. I cut it up. Some things aren't worth the risk of history repeating. So that's your update. My sister's perfect wedding became a perfect lesson. And maybe, just maybe, it'll help someone else find their voice too. I hit post and closed my laptop. Bella was waiting outside in her car. "Ready for therapy?" she asked as I got in. Actually, yes. I showed her the letter from the anonymous sister. Because sometimes doing the right thing helps more than just yourself. Speaking of right things, Bella handed me an envelope. "Danny's parents wanted you to have this." Inside was a check. There would have been contribution to the honeymoon fund. The note read, "For saving our son from a lifetime of lies. Thank you." I tucked it away, thinking of Lacey and her court-mandated therapy, of Mom and Dad finally facing consequences, of patterns broken and truths told. "You know what's funny?" I said as we drove. "Everyone thought I was destroying the family, but maybe, just maybe, this was the only way to save it." From what? From itself. My phone buzzed one last time, a text from Dad. "Your mother and I start counseling tomorrow. We should have done this years ago." I smiled, feeling lighter than I had in months. Because sometimes karma doesn't just wear heels and call the cops. Sometimes karma opens doors to healing, even if those doors have to be broken down first.